Welcome to the Comic Book Theorist. This is your boy Leo, and today we're going to be talking about a what if scenario, and this is based off of the Netflix series that's coming up really soon. So by the way, just to let you guys know, this video has been made before the release of the Netflix series Luke Cage, just to clear that up. So I don't know what's going to happen in Luke Cage. I don't know what kind of premise, theme, so on and so forth they're going to be implementing in Luke Cage, but nonetheless, the what if scenario is, what if Luke Cage was in a gang in Harlem? So in this case, let's get right down to it. So in this case, before we go into the what if scenario, let me give you a quick background of when this is taking place, where this is taking place, and so on and so forth. So just to give you some FYI, Luke Cage grows up affiliated with a gang, and he's in this gang with his best friend Willis Stryker, and ultimately he gets betrayed by Willis Stryker and is framed and then sent to jail. And then while he's in jail, he builds up frustration, anger as to being betrayed by his best friend, where eventually he starts getting into jail fights with other prisoners, other guards, and then he gets transferred to a different cell or a different jail, in this case more specifically. And in this other jail that he gets sent to, this is where they begin to experiment on him, and eventually out of these experiments he gets his super strength, super durability as we know him today. So eventually he gets released from jail and he gets put back on the streets once again. But in this case, with all the anger, all the frustration that's been building up for several years or months, however long he's been in jail for the betrayal of his best friend. In this case, Luke Cage, instead of just letting it go and just going under the radar, he decides to go straight after his best friend, Willis Stryker. And also, just to let you guys know, this takes place before Spider-Man became a superhero. This is when Kingpin is in jail. This takes place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in the Netflix series or Netflix universe. So in this case, Daredevil is Daredevil, Jessica Jones is doing Jessica Jones things, and so on and so forth, just to clear that up. But let's get right into the what if scenario and let's see how this plays out. So in this case, once he does leave jail, Luke Cage has two different options. One, he can use this newfound power to take revenge on the people that betrayed him, ruined his life, or two, he can just go under the radar. But for this what if scenario, and long story short, he decides to go after the leader of the gang, which is his best friend Willis Stryker, and he decides to take over the gang that he's running. And also, by the way guys, let me know down below if you guys want me to do another video of him deciding to start a gang from the ground up, collecting people, hitting people up, starting gang wars, creating allies, creating different connections throughout the city, and basically turning into the next Kingpin, more or less, if it does turn out to be that's the end result of him deciding to start a gang from the ground up, a brand new gang. But nonetheless, let's continue this scenario. So in this case, Luke Cage simply walks up to the headquarters of Willis Stryker's gang, and he basically takes out Willis Stryker with his strength and super durability, because again, at this point, nobody is aware of his newfound powers, so they're completely taken off guard. Willis Stryker is taken out, basically killed by Luke Cage in his moment of anger and just straight blind rage that he's built up over the years. And in this case, from then on, his reputation starts getting spread out throughout the city as he becomes the new leader of the gang, and everybody begins to take a look at who Luke Cage is, as they're surprised as to how he became the new leader of the gang. So with Luke Cage, the new leader of this gang, he begins to take a look or review all the current ins and outs of the gang, basically how money is being transferred, who are the drug sellers, who are their suppliers, who are the enemies, what kind of negotiations or deals they have, what kind of special alliance they have, so on and so forth, basically to understand what's going on and properly resuscitate the gang and basically take it to a more productive route. In the meantime, while all this is happening, the other gangs around them, mafias and cartels and so on and so forth, since they see this new shift in power, this new shift in leadership, they see this as chaos. There's not reinforcements, there's no focus, there's a little bit of a separation between people that agreed with the old gang leader and the new gang leader, Luke Cage. So they see this as an opportunity to strike the gang, take over their territory. So they begin to start planning their attacks, start planning to take over Luke Cage's newfound territory. In the meantime, while all this is happening, Daredevil, he is continuing to protect his neighborhood, in this case Hell's Kitchen, while Jessica Jones is doing private eye work to cover, and she's more or less sticking to herself as she doesn't want more eyes brought to her based on her past experience. And by the way, just a little side note, if I didn't mention before, this is Jessica Jones before the whole event that happened in season 1 of the show Jessica Jones, where she meets Luke Cage and Purple Man comes back, and so on and so forth. So this is Jessica Jones before all that happened. So in this case, she is basically doing private eye work. While in this case, Daredevil, he's protecting Hell's Kitchen. He's more focused on what's going on in his neighborhood, and he does hear a quick whisper of Luke Cage, but doesn't really focus on the whole situation with Luke Cage since he has other things to take care of. So in this case, eventually the other gangs around the neighborhood, around the gang located in Harlem, they begin to start attacking Luke Cage's gang by doing drive-bys, attacking their drug dealers, their drug suppliers, and so on and so forth. And Luke Cage, he hears about this, he gets furious because at this point he just wants things to be smooth, relaxed, and just easy going, because he doesn't want any drama, any chaos, any deaths in his hands besides the death of Willis Stryker. And in this case, while he is feeling this, he has this mentality. His members of his gang, they're demanding war, they're demanding blood to be shed, they want respect, they want revenge. And Luke Cage is a little bit, in this case, undecisive if he should start a gang war, because again, he knows that this is going to take a lot of lives, a lot of people will be affected. So in this moment of hesitation from Luke Cage, the other gangs continue their strike here and there, and eventually one of their attacks takes the lives of many innocent people within Harlem. And this is what basically pushes Luke Cage to say, fuck it, I'm going to attack, I'm going to go on the offensive. We can't be taking more of this BS, and we can't let people die in our streets, in our home. So in this case, with his confidence in his durability and his strength, he decides to basically attack or go straight to the headquarters and do a full frontal attack, take out everybody there himself, while his gang members just walk behind him, shoot here and there, but they're just amazed by the overall dominance from Luke Cage, and he basically takes out the gang leader. And all this is done within the night, and this gets spread out throughout the whole city. People are just in shock. How can one single man take out an entire gang? And with this, many people start running to Luke Cage, wanting to join his gang, as they begin to see him as the next kingpin, the next king of crime, next king of New York, with all this power and all this progress done in one single night by one single man. So with these results, the other gangs are furious and they decide to do another attack, but this time they're gonna attack him where it hurts, his pocket. So in this case, they start hurting him economically, taking out key points where a lot of revenue is coming in for the gang, and this does affect Luke Cage. And in this case, the suppliers that they have, for example, are killed off by hitmen that are unrelated to the gangs around, or the cartel or the other enemies that Luke Cage has, to not trace back to them. And in this case, the whole point of this is to weaken Luke Cage overall, to take him out. And in this case, Luke Cage would decide to do another raid, another attack on another gang, taking them out. The same scenario before, he just walks in, takes everybody out, fist everywhere, people flying, and the leader is taken out with ease. And this just builds up more reputation of the beast, of the Man of Steel, pun or no pun intended, of Luke Cage. So in this case, the rival gangs, they are very upset with all the things that's happening to all their allies, all their friends from Luke Cage and his gang, and they do brush into each other since they do drive around and they bump into each other, and eventually shootouts ensue. They start fighting each other in the streets, assassinations are done, drive-bys are done, and all this chaos and destruction between these gangs, they start taking the lives of many innocent people, from school kids all the way to cops. And all this is just taking over Harlem, taking over Hell's Kitchen, and many people are being affected, which by this time Daredevil will be fully aware of what's happening, and he starts investigating Luke Cage and what's going on with this gang war that's basically been started. In the meantime, Jessica Jones, she does hear about this, she is witness to a lot of shootouts that's going on, but she decides not to involve herself in this based on her past experience from the Purple Man and what he did to her, and when she tried to be a superhero the first time around. But in this case, she chooses not to be. And Patty Walker does try to urge her, try to be a hero, try to help people, protect people, because a lot of people are getting hurt in the streets for no reasons at all. And in this case, in the end, it's all for nothing. Jessica Jones just decides not to get involved, not to be part of this, and not to be seen overall. And in this case, during one night, Daredevil decides to do a surprise attack on Luke Cage to take him out and just end all this overnight. And to his surprise, with Luke Cage's overwhelming strength and durability, Daredevil is basically defeated, since he was unaware of these rumors being true, that Luke Cage is a very powerful man and he has very strong durability. And from this point out, he decides to regroup, start strategizing on how to take this man out who is well above him in terms of strength. And by this time, with everything that's been happening throughout Harlem, throughout Hell's Kitchen and many other neighborhoods, Luke Cage sits back to reflect on all this chaos and all this lives being taken, because at the end of the day, he never wanted any of this. He just wants his revenge. He wants to take control of the gang and to try to help out his neighborhood, or at least protect the neighborhood. And in this case, that's exactly what's not happening. Just there's chaos, many people are dying, and he just feels guilty, he just feels hurt, and he just wants vengeance for the lives being taken by these other gangs, as they're just being selfish and just want to conquer territory and just be in power. And with all of this destruction and fight and chaos and drive-bys, this does hit the news. A lot of people are becoming more and more aware of this, and the gangs around Luke Cage, all of his enemies, they are worried since their pockets are being hurt from this war. And also on top of that, they're worried basically where other outside influences or outside forces might see this and might come in to stop all of them in one fell swoop. For example, like the Avengers or S.H.I.E.L.D. or any other special forces out there. So they decide to join forces to take out Luke Cage and just end this real quick before it gets bigger than what it is now. And upon Daredevil hearing this through investigation and his super hearing, he decides to initiate another attack on Luke Cage before this continues, to try to take him out once and for all before this thing just blows up even more than what it is. So in this case, Daredevil begins to attack Luke Cage, and instead of fighting him hand to hand, he would focus more on attacking him by senses, hurting him with his eyesight, his sense of smell, sense of taste, sense of feeling. I don't know how sense of taste would be affected, but you get the idea. But in this case, he does start slowly hurting Luke Cage, or at least stopping him momentarily by attacking his senses. And in this case, while all this is happening, he poisons Luke Cage by either knockout gas or by powder. With all of the experience he's had being trained by Stick, who taught him different stealth attacks, different ways of taking out the enemies besides just punching them in the face. So in this case, ultimately being poisoned, also on top of that, his senses being all thrown out of place, thrown out of whack, Luke Cage does succumb to all of this, and he basically is defeated by Daredevil, as Daredevil focused on stealth, agility, and precision in the end. And the cops and Daredevil would begin to clean things up, picking up any remaining gangs or any gang members of Luke Cage, and start cleaning up the streets, trying to put things back to what they were, try to bring peace back to the streets more or less. And as Luke Cage is being taken away, he's filled with regret, just filled with sorrow, as he looks at all the lives he's hurt. And all this has begun, all this happened all because of his desire for vengeance, his desire, his hatred he had for his friend and for being betrayed and all that. And in this case, in the end of the day, he missed out on a life of being with a woman he would have loved, having a child, having a family, being part of a neighborhood that would love him as he loved them. And all this is gone due to the fact that he chose to take vengeance, chose to be aggressive, and just basically do what the people did to him right back at them, making him just like them. And he would just go to jail and stay there all the way till basically he dies. But all that is changed when Thanos attacks Earth. The end. So in this case, guys, let's look over the choices these characters made and the reason behind them. So for example, Luke Cage, the reason why he chose to do more full frontal attacks on the gangs and the gang leaders and basically expose his powers to the public more or less is because he's very confident in his powers and what he can do with his durability. And on top of that, he doesn't want his own gang members getting killed off in front of him. And that's basically more or less the choice that he's made, and that's the reason why he did it. And in regards to Jessica Jones, like I mentioned before, the reason why she does not decide to actually intervene or be part of this is because of her past experience when she first tried to be a good guy or tried to be a hero, and then she met the Purple Man, and that just changed her life forever. And with that, it scarred her, and she does not want to be exposed or be part of the public eye based on what happened to her in the past. And in regards to the fight between Luke Cage and Daredevil, the first time that they fight, the reason why Daredevil would lose is because he doesn't believe these rumors of a superpowered gangster just taking people out left and right. He just assumes that, oh, he's just a little extra strong, but Daredevil can take him out with his ninja skills, bada bing bada boom. But he's caught off guard, and from here, that's when he decides to regroup, replan, and basically use everything that Stick taught him to try to take out this person that's physically more powerful than him, thus deciding to use, in this case, the style of attacking his senses, using stealth, agility, and precision, and also try to attack him from the inside. Because if he's strong from the outside and he's strong physically, but what's going to stop him from getting poisoned or getting sick, and so on and so forth. And in the end, that's the reason why Luke Cage would lose, because Luke Cage focused more on just swinging on physical attacks and doesn't really focus on these type of things that a ninja or somebody like Stick or Daredevil would consider in combat. So in this case, the whole message of this what what if scenario is basically don't let your emotions control you. Have a clear head to make decisions. Don't be deciding things based on anger and just frustration. And in this case, a quote that Stick said on Daredevil: anger is a spark, rage is a wildfire out of control, therefore it's useless. And in this case, just keep that in mind, guys. Also, just a little side note, I know it's a little bit out of the blue, but if there's anybody out there who does suffer from anger issues, like they get too out of control, they get too angry, don't hesitate to ask for help. Don't hesitate to talk to people. And in this case, there are people out there just willing to help. Because again, like these comic books, like these stories, they're basically reflections of what's going on in real life in many ways, and you can learn from these decisions, these stories. So don't hesitate to ask for help. Go get help, and there are hotlines on the web and around you as well. And if not, you can even send me a private message. I know it's out of the blue, but I know there's people out there struggling. I know the feeling. I know feeling helpless. So you're not alone in it, but just a quick FYI. But besides that, guys, this is only a hypothetical situation where this can be one possible outcome of many. If you believe this would be a different scenario, let me know in the comments below. And if you have any suggestions for future what if videos, comment down below as well. Also, please share, like, and subscribe, as I will be bringing you guys more what if videos and more videos in general. And until next time, this is the Comic Book Theorist. Deuces.